Hello, hi there, it's Jason from the Meta Rush and welcome back. Today we're going to look at some news articles that have been floating around in the last few weeks, which I think is worth sharing with yourselves. So without further ado, let's rush into it. Okay, so the first article that we're going to look through is one from the Crypto Globe. And in the last few weeks, this was something that I didn't see get much attention, to be honest, but I do think it's a significant milestone for China. So China have unveiled a comprehensive 3-year action plan to advance the metaverse industry, is the title of this article. And basically this article is essentially raising the fact that China see, not sure if I can call it necessarily a threat, but they see obviously big global brands within the world essentially making moves on trying to either claim or make some type of movement within the metaverse space. And obviously China want to be a global leader in the metaverse, hence why they have come up with this 3-year strategy plan. It says the metaverse is expected to find applications in various sectors, including home appliances, automotive, aerospace, steel, and textiles. These industries can leverage metaverse technologies to optimize scheduling, material calculation, and other parts of the production process. And I find that really interesting because, in all honesty, every time I think of the metaverse, and I genuinely think when a lot of us think of the metaverse, we see it as this like social playground, I guess, but forgetting perhaps how it can fundamentally also help operations of businesses. I've seen that there have been some various manufacturing companies that already try to use basically, I guess, like building information modeling. These manufacturing companies, you know, have huge plants, warehouses, whatever you want to call it, you know, their facilities, essentially, they can use these protocols and this aspect of building information modeling, essentially, to simulate their environment, i.e. they can have the entire fabrication line, and, you know, if they were to adopt robotics, they can perhaps, you know, test or do like stress tests essentially to see, you know, with how much output or, you know, sort of how many inputs and outputs this manufacturing plant can produce. You know, when there's high demand and a low demand, what does that essentially do to their facility? And I guess they can rerun that all through this sort of computer software. Now, like I say, to some, it seems that this is obviously a use case for their metaverse. I guess another way of reading this article and just sort of just trying to think a little bit out of the box here, again, just trying to think outside of purely the social aspect of it, you know, in terms of interacting. And if you've ever sort of recently tried to buy a brand new car, you don't necessarily need to go into a car showroom like you used to. So when I see like the automotive industry noted there, the metaverse has a fantastic potential, which I can see, for the automotive industry, purely for that experience in how to buy a car, because at the moment it is very much just a 2D experience. Like if you go on like a Tesla website, you can pick your car, you can pick your color, you can pick your extras, your model, and put your deposit, and then, you know, do the transaction as and when required. But could you imagine that experience, but actually doing that through augmented reality or virtual reality? Okay, at the moment you wouldn't necessarily be able to touch it or get really any other senses out of it. However, from a visual perspective, I think you'd get a much more better understanding of perhaps the spatial aspects of how it feels with inside the car, how big the boot is for or your baggage compartment. I'm not sure if that's how you call it in other countries. We just call it the boot. You know, I can see some real benefits there. So from a company's perspective, how it can have a real benefit for them to try and invest money into this metaverse to help the sales of their goods ultimately. And as it's indicated here, other sectors or industries can also see how the metaverse can help their business model. There are some further references in here about, you know, the education and tourism sectors. Again, it can be used as a, you know, as you're booking a holiday, have a bit more of a personal look. I mean, you can sort of do that to a certain degree by, you know, using Google Street View. You can literally go and visit any country right now, but obviously there's still images. But imagine, you know, you're booking your holiday, you want to see where you're going in the future, just to get a real feel. You know, this is, especially holidays are costing a lot of money now. There's nothing worse than someone spending lots and lots of money on a holiday trip and then they go there and it's not what they expected. Whereas if there's, I don't know, a replica created, which again they can immerse themselves into, maybe again some of these sort of tourism agencies can see a real benefit that, especially with the countries that have, you know, outstanding natural beauty or incredible infrastructure that they want people to come and visit. So I think that's a really interesting article there that has been shared and gives us a little incline to what China are doing. And that really brings us nicely on to the next article. And this article title is Manufacturing Firms Make Early Bets on the Industrial Metaverse. What got me excited in this article really was about this paragraph, which is highlighted. And it says a survey of 350 senior leaders at US manufacturing firms by consulting firm Deloitte and the Manufacturing Leadership Council found that almost all of manufacturing firms are already investing in those technologies that could serve as the foundation for an industrial metaverse. So that then brings us on to these survey results. And this shows you all the different headings that were assessed in terms of what these firms are essentially investing in. And I guess this list of contents here is essentially what the surveyor, in this case Deloitte, have assessed as the key components of the metaverse, or what needs to be invested in to make the metaverse a reality. So we've got data analytics, cloud computing, Internet of Things like sensors, devices and platforms, digital twins, 3D modeling, 3D scanning, 5G technology, artificial intelligence, AI, edge computing, wearables, extended reality, and blockchain distributed ledger. Now, obviously, that's right at the bottom here. It even talks about NFTs, etc. However, what's important to note is that it has made the list. So there's obviously a recognition and appreciation that for the metaverse to operate, one of the key components will be blockchain technology, which for me is extremely bullish with blockchain. So whenever you're reading articles about blockchain being dead and finished, that's just lies. Another news article here by pocketgamer.biz. And I know it's something that has been discussed quite a number of times within the X space, which is this Animoca Brands raises 20 million towards a new metaverse project, which they call the Mocaverse. And really, probably the only item in this article which is of interest is where it says, "We are deeply honoured by investor support for Animoca Brands and its vision of decentralization," said Animoca Brands Executive Chairman Yat Sui. Now, there was obviously that conference or exhibition or talk recently, and it was about, you know, building a metaverse on Bitcoin. Now, Obviously, nothing's been announced yet, and all the attention has been going to this Metaverse. However, in terms of achieving that decentralization, and this is all almost like adding all the dots, really. So you've got Yatsui talking about decentralization. Well, look, we've got that. Bitmap deals with that on the Bitcoin blockchain. So look, this is obviously all a little bit skeptical at the moment, just trying to join the dots. But if Animoca brands are really thinking about Bitmap and build this Metaverse on Bitmap, that would obviously be really, really bullish for Bitmap. So it'd be really interesting to see how this develops over time. But as this is quite recent news in the last few weeks, I thought it was definitely worth sharing because, Animoca brands are a big animal. So yeah, be interesting to see how that develops over the next few months, next year. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. Now that brings us on to the last article, which maybe you could see is a little bit of fun and has literally just been released in the last day or so. And obviously this one hits home a little bit because it's of a British artist, which hopefully you've heard of, a chap called Robbie Williams. And this article is labelled as Robbie Williams to make Metaverse debut in Light Cycle, a new AI-powered hyper-realistic virtual city built with Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5. And I thought, well, that is interesting because I know Unreal Engine 5, there are a lot of devs at the moment that are obviously using that system to build Metaverse or build games, but essentially build these projects that we're hoping to utilize over the coming years, I guess. And it also mentions about a hyper-realistic virtual city. Now, again, this is something that is being developed as we speak. And this is a news article, which you can find on Music Business Worldwide. I've never heard of Light Cycle until I read this article. So I thought it was worth having a look at what they do. And I'll show you a few little clips that I've managed to obtain from their YouTube channel. And it'll give you a little insight to what their platform is like. And what's interesting is, so I know it says Robbie Williams to make Metaverse debut in Light Cycle. So I've done a little bit of digging into this Light Cycle, and it seems that it's a platform produced by a company called Vertex Labs. So I went onto the Vertex Labs website, and again, what I found really interesting is that there is this common terminology about decentralized real-time edge rendering. Now, again, it's talking about decentralized real-time edge rendering. I'm assuming that is referring to Unreal Engine, which obviously is an open source program that anyone can download and use. But what would be even more incredible, I guess, for Vertex Labs, and perhaps when I release this video, I'll copy them into it, is that if they are looking to create metaverse platforms, they should be really utilizing the bitmap standard, because again, it could add an extra claim to them to have a metaverse that they create, which is considered built on a decentralized network or decentralized system. A little background in terms of Light Cycle. So it says here, Light Cycle is an immersive 3D metaverse platform built using Unreal Engine 5 for excellent graphics and powered by the Vertex Network real-time edge rendering engine to ensure minimal latency. Based on the Caduceus Metaverse protocol, not sure if I said that correctly, it is designed to support art, film, gaming, music, fashion, sports, real estate, and retail through utility of NFTs. Our roadmap includes a content management system to enable the upload of digital and virtual assets, creation of diverse interactive spaces, and purchase of virtual land. These features allow individuals and businesses to engage with their communities in new ways and enable global audiences to interact with their favorite brands and influencers in a stunning 3D environment. So again, if they were to base this on a bitmap, this could be essentially the light cycle bitmap world, let's say. No reason why that couldn't be the case. So I do think it's probably quite worthwhile connecting with these people and seeing, or at least trying to bring to their attention, if they're not aware of it, of this decentralized bitmap standard. And then when we go onto the Light Cycle website, you can see that they've got quite a really sort of cool branding going on. And it does say here that you can create your own worlds. But when I do click on it, unfortunately, it looks like it's something that they are currently developing. This seems like an optimum time to show them and share the bitmap standard with them, because it would be amazing if they would be able to build their products, their metaverse, in accordance with the bitmap standard. So it'll be really interesting to see how these guys progress over the coming months and years. And then literally just scrolling through their website, it talks about creating virtual worlds, putting immersive performances on. So they've obviously got the capabilities of doing those, what would you call them? A show, a concert, I guess in this case with Robbie Williams. They obviously have various amount of different types of tools, and here's a sort of CGI really of one of the worlds that they've created. And honestly, if that is a sort of a real rendered image of their world, if you were to actually be in there with a headset, let's say, that is pretty well detailed. I'd say that's really good, quite impressive. They obviously create their own avatars as well, which is cool. And they've got a roadmap. So they obviously started this in Q3 2022. So still very, it's pretty much coming on a year. So we're now just going to watch a few clips that I've managed to obtain from their YouTube page, which is Light Cycle. And it will just give you a feel of what these guys are capable of producing. So let's check it out. That's really, really, really cool. There's a few partners here noted as well. They're working with Digimental Studio, Brilliant Pictures, and Pharrell Music. So that's really, really cool. So I hope you like that Light Cycle. I know it was quite a short little clip there of what they're working on. But as you can see, it does seem like an interesting project that they're working on. And although it just showed it as a sort of a single player, you can probably see how that eventually one day could have multiple occupants in there using that space. But for me, what the key was really is that they are building a world which I see, and I think many others see, that this world could essentially live on a bitmap. Different sections of that world could be essentially represented by the different parcels on the bitmap. That's how I see it. So that brings us to the end of the video, which I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you get a different perspective on the news articles that are floating around with respect to Metaverse, and also how some of these projects and news articles keep referencing decentralization, and really how we are here basically sitting knowing that there's already an answer, a solution to satisfy what that actually means as in decentralization. It is bitmap on the Bitcoin blockchain. It's so important that all of us try to voice and spread awareness of what bitmap ultimately provides a solution for. Hopefully in future, we're not hearing the word decentralization, we're hearing the word bitmap. It's built on the bitmap standard, which everyone knows is to do with decentralization and on the Bitcoin blockchain. And before you go, I just wanted to remind you that the Metaverse channel created the first Bitmap merch store, which you can find at mybitmap.com. If you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment, and until next time.